Oh. Hmm. Hey everybody, this is Discord user Slappy White with Radish Digital, bringing you the creators of the first. I apologize for the lag there. Put something together last hour. I was really excited to get that quote in from American Texan. Also have a quote from Capricorn in there, just talking his excitement. Both of those creators were at SCG Houston, and they both placed very well. We also tonight have our usual panel. We have Wonders Workshop, we have Be a Hero Gaming, and of course Capricorn American Texan. And we're lucky to have Sneaky Joe and Yo-Yo who are going to join us, who also competed in Houston. Let's bring the creators up on stage before we go ahead and bring the players up as well. So American Texan, I was going to get your quote in there. And the fact that you said you were going to possibly regret it the next day, I was like, this is too good not to open the show with. So I wish that had been there. Do you still feel that way, that it felt like
it was let me tell you, it was awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, I was exhausted, I was tired, but it was one of those things where I couldn't go to sleep. Like, I knew I needed to hit the hay, but I could not stop just chatting with people in Discord, talking about the day. And I knew I had to get up early the next day to get, work starts Monday morning, but I just couldn't shut it off. I was so excited, and yeah, I was tired. It was my first experience. I had no idea what to expect. I was mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. But after all, still looking back, wouldn't change anything. It was awesome.
You made me scared. When I watched your video on the way home from work today, and I listened to it, and I got scared. I came home to my son. I was like, dude, brace yourself. It sounds like this is exhausting.
Yes, but now that you've watched my video, you can be better prepared, and you will not find it as taxing as I did, because you will hopefully have something more than just a protein bar all day to eat.
Sandwich.
All right, and
yes, so the sandwich would be perfect.
So Capricorn, the part that I was going to do for you is, of course, you talked about the Tom Felton banner and the sneak peek at different cards. And you said, we have to talk about this right now. So it was going to be the perfect intro into this. And of course, it's very important. We're talking about American Texan and Capricorn. Links to their YouTube channels are in the description, and make sure to go check it out. These are folks who are players, they're creators, they were in Houston, and you got to watch what they're dropping, and they're going to be dropping about that. But Capricorn, it sounds like you had a blast.
It was exhausting. It was exhausting, but it was some of the most fun I've had. There were things that were different from Orlando, pluses and minuses, mostly pluses, but the spoilers, the additional Call of the Stone spoilers, were definitely a pleasant surprise. And I think everything they're doing with what those cards insinuate are really going to change the game in some pretty significant ways. So I am excited to dive into that at some point for sure.
Well, Capricorn, I'm going to bring Sneaky Joe and Yo-Yo up on stage. And do you want to set the stage for us? Is like, why are we talking to these two after SCG Con Houston?
So Sneaky Joe is the end-all be-all champion. No one can seem to beat him, both in constructed and now it seems even in sealed. Sneaky took first place in both main events. Yo-Yo was a hell of a competitor in constructed, but more importantly, Yo-Yo also made it to the finals in the sealed event, and that's why Yo-Yo's here as well. So these guys represent the absolute top of competitive play, not just with deck building, but even more so with their moment-to-moment gameplay and decision-making. These guys are the cream of the crop, so it'll be interesting to pick their brains for sure.
Well, that's quite an intro, Sneaky Joe.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that, the kind words. Just playing a game and worked out. So I feel blessed and lucky. And I know every single one of these guys. I got to play Capricorn. I got to play Texan. Excellent players, great players. And any minute they can get you. Very dangerous competitors. So, I feel like I got a little bit of lucky, and so I'll take it.
So, Sneaky Joe, how different was the question at Houston from the Shattering, which was, of course, the first place where people really competed?
So the Shattering, I felt like I had a leg up on a lot of people because I had gotten on the tabletop simulator and I had been working decks and practicing, and I got to practice with people like Wicked, who hadn't been on the Wonders team at that point in time. He got hired later. And if you really want to know a really good player, and I would say if he could compete, would probably be the best player, I would say Wicked. And so he and I went back and forth quite a bit building up to the Shattering, where we would, win and lose, and I'd go back to the drawing board. So when I got to the Shattering, I felt a lot more prepared than a lot of other folks because it was a new game, and a lot of people hadn't been putting in the same amount of time I had been. And then I also have my two boys, which most of you've been to the events. You've met both Sharkborn and Vortex. And so I got to play a lot of games with them too. And so when they came to the Shattering, they were also prepared. And so the Shattering, there was a lot less experienced folks. As we went to Orlando and as we've gone to Houston, the competition keeps going up. It keeps climbing. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between the Shattering to where we're at now.
That's great to hear. And Yo-Yo, I think about you as a player. Yo-Yo, do we have the audio for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there. Okay, Yo-Yo, you as a player. I mean, Sneaky Joe was an amazing player to start with. I remember you at National in, I guess it was 2024 at the National Card Show. Oh, and he doesn't want to answer the question. I remember a time where there's a funny story about Yo-Yo is that there was a time at the National Card Show, they stuck the Wonders booth on the back end of the Bo Jackson battle booth. It was almost like the shed out back. And it's amazing how much things have changed since then. And so Yo-Yo was back there because everybody knows Rommel's a cool guy to hang out with. And so Rommel was like the siren sucking in Yo-Yo and other people. He's like, let me teach you how to play. Why don't you go ahead and do it? And I'll never forget, Bo Jackson showed up and he actually hung out and played his boba game for like 10 minutes. And when I saw Yo-Yo, I said, I can't believe Bo was here and he hung out for 10 minutes and there wasn't a crowd. Like you could just be right next to him. And Yo-Yo goes, Bo was here? What? And he missed it, learning to play once to the first. And looking back now, Yo-Yo, you're probably not upset about that kind of set you on your path, huh?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's just an amazing game. Just everybody you meet across, a lot of good people. Capricorn's one of them. I got to play him. He actually he got me pretty good in the match. So don't let him believe he's not that good. He's a very good player. Sneaky, of course. No, everybody already knows how good he is. It was just overall a great time. A lot of people came over from Magic. I don't even want to call them Magic people. I'm hopefully they're onboarding, and a lot of them said how great the game was. So hopefully we see them in the next tournaments, and we don't even think of them as Magic players, and this game just continues to grow.
Well, in Texan, you mentioned, I think in your video, you mentioned there were some Magic players. They played 2 or 3 games, lost a couple games, and then they faded. So what was your experience, Texan, with the Magic players?
Yeah, it was honestly a little bit of an internal conflict because on the one point, We love seeing the Magic players play the game, pick up the game. I mean, I think that's the whole reason the SEAL tournament is on Sunday, is to give those that aren't competing on Sunday a chance to try the game and come try it. And we love to see that. We love to see the new people. At the same time, there are Magic players who are literally there just to play the game, win some money, and leave. They could care less about the game. They're there for the dollar. And it's like, oh, I mean, they're fine guys, I guess, but it's like they're not in it for the love of the game the same way that we are. So, it was a little bit of a conflict because we saw the Magic players reach the final 8. I think there was 4 of us and 3. No, there was 5 of us, 3 of them. I don't remember, but there were several of them in the finals, and you could tell one guy was just absolutely having the time of his life. He even walked away smiling, like, I love this game. That was so cool. And there was other players that were there that they were just there for the game. They lost. They left after 2 or 3 rounds, so there was a lot of buys in the later rounds for the losing bracket. But so they were, they came and gone. So it was great to see some new players try it out and really see what they thought. And at the same time, it was a little frustrating that some people just could not care less. They were just there for the money. Sure. I don't even. They could have thrown their cards away at the end of the day, for all I know.
Well, the other thing. Go ahead, Capricorn. Sorry.
Something that I want to add is, going to both Orlando and Houston now, I noticed a change in the vibes from the Magic players. And Texan only got to experience the vibes from Houston, but I can say in Orlando, it felt very much like all of the Magic players were like embarrassed that they were playing the game. Like, they were playing it, but it was one of those, like, I don't want my friends to see me playing it kind of feel. They didn't want to admit that they were having fun even. Some of them were, but like they had to like, oh, I can't pretend like I'm having fun, And in Houston, it was very different. Like, you still had some players that were only in it for the money, but even those players genuinely seemed like they liked the game. And there were a lot of Magic players that legitimately just loved the game. Like, Texan brought him up. There was that one guy who ended up making the top 8, and every few minutes he would just shout out like, I can't believe how good this game is. Or he'd like draw a card and he'd be like, I can't believe how good this card is. This is so awesome. And he was like one of the guys that is presumably on the Magic the Gathering Pro circuit that travels around and plays in these events. And he actually told me he was happy that he scrubbed out of his Magic event on Saturday so that he could play in this. And he was super excited about playing it more. And I don't think anyone was on quite his level of excitement. But everyone in general didn't seem like they were like embarrassed to be playing like the new game that you're, that isn't Magic or whatever. Everyone seemed like they were way more open to like, this is a game that's here to stay and I got to learn it. I got to be a part of it.
Well, and Ben and Grace, you both, I think you said you've dabbled in Magic in the past. Realistically, what's the conversion you're looking at for Magic? What would you be happy with? Do you want to see, I mean, you can't say you want everybody coming over from Magic, but do you think that you get 10% of the Magic crowd coming over? Do you get 25%? What do you, this is early, but what do you think we should see?
So I am kind of like Capricorn. Like, I still play Magic on the regular, and like, it's something that I consistently play with my family. And I think there is something to be said, like, for the two games have different times that you might play them sometimes, especially if you're looking at a Commander game. So I think the number might be higher than we'd think if it's like people who are only playing Commander and they're like looking for something that's not going to take them 4 hours to play. I think with that, we could see a much higher percentage than if we were just like, you're going to drop Magic and Wonders is going to be your only thing, because there's a huge difference between those two things. I have no idea what the numbers would look like in my head. I just, that was the thought that came straight to my mind of like, sure. Are we drawing players away, or are we drawing players to, if that makes sense? Like, you can do both and you can play both.
Yeah, it's a really tough question too, because and I've more than dabbled in Magic. I used to have a very, very sizable investment. I don't know what word we want to use here in Magic. I mean, pretty big, and I've probably liquidated maybe 80% of that to buy Wonders. And I'm an open-minded person. I think it's going to take more open-minded people to look into it. But for me, there were a handful of things. I love Magic the Gathering, but there's a handful of things about the game that really bothered me. And Wonders fixed all those. And that's what converted me.
Now, Sneaky Joe, are you? I can't recall. Do you have Magic in your background too?
I do actually. I played Magic when I was about 16 years old. I got into the game. I remember walking to the comic book store to try to compete and getting fleeced by giving up my good cards, my double lands because I saw something shiny. Yeah. So no, but I actually had a really enjoyable time playing Magic. Loved the game, loved the competition, and it was kind of, I think it was around the revised edition time, so I didn't get any of the great extra cards. But I played for about 3 years, and then went on to life. Military, mission, marriage, all that kind of stuff, college, and left Magic behind. And I don't know. Fast forward 20 years later, it was time for me to get into a card game, and I was actually looking at Magic. But I felt like the game had changed quite a bit. I had a nephew who was into it. He taught me to play. I think it was Commander, and I guess there were some Planewalkers. I didn't quite understand it, and it just wasn't as simple as it had been when I was that 16-year-old boy. And then with how many different sets had come out, I just feel like I was left behind. So my buddy got me on to the Kickstarter. He showed me this Wonders game, and it looked amazing. My two boys were playing Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, and I would go buy a few decks just so I could spend time with them and the thing that they enjoyed. And then we saw this as a bridge opportunity, a way to bridge our generations and play a game together. And it's worked out quite a lot. Now we're touring the country playing it. It's been a dream.
You're not going to be in Baltimore, are you?
We are not coming to Baltimore, but I'll tell you what, Sharkborn was not happy about how he did, and he is begging me to take him to Baltimore.
That was the other thing that scared me. When I heard you were sweeping everything, I thought, oh, geez, man. Now I'm scared of the exhaustion, and I'm scared of Sneaky Joe.
No worries, man. No worries. No, we will not be going to Baltimore as much as I'd love to, though.
Well, and who will be
Still
going?
have a family at home that I got to spend time with. So.
Well,
priorities.
Who's not spending time with his family is Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo, you will be.
Kind of like Sneaky. I am not going to be there for the Sunday event. I am just going to fly out there to be there Friday and half of Saturday. I'm going just to pick up that Sears case promo. I'm really into that promo. It's honestly costing me about $1,800 just to fly out, upgrade my seats to first class. I'm a little nutty, but I really enjoy this game. I enjoy both sides, the collectability, the playability. It's just far and above beyond any game I've ever played. That's all I got to say about it. I mean, if my wife knew I wasn't going to try to win, she'd probably put her foot down.
Yo-Yo, I know you're a player, but you also are a collector. What do you think the promo card, the financial value is?
What, the Sears case?
Yeah.
Easily $200 to $250 to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Game ever takes off, you're looking at $500 to $1,000 card.
It's it's what they say about like how do you make a small fortune in CCGs. You start with a large fortune. So good job on that one.
Yeah, I will be a buyer. There's people out there going to be selling. I'm going to be there. Just asking.
Capricorn, I can never tell with your mic if it's muted or muted. Did you unmute it? You had something to say?
No, I'm just saying, if he's paying $1,800 to go out there, even my dog's excited about that. You can just pay me the $1,800 and I'll give you 2 Sears days. That's fine. You don't have to. You can cancel your flights right now.
It's too late. They're booked. I booked the rooms. I'm good for a day and a half.
Yeah,
look what this game will do to you.
Yeah. You realize you don't have a problem after you hear him, Ben. Yo-Yo, you did not play.
I'm hearing I have a huge problem because I'm trying to get $1,800 to go to Vegas. I'm the one that's got the problem.
You got to start selling jeans, Texan.
I know. I got to get back in the game. I got to get back in the denim game.
So Yo-Yo, you did not play Magic before, right? You had no CC?
No, at 0.0, I kind of like Sneaky when I was around 16. I think it was about 1994, 95 when I used to go to the comic book store with some of my friends that would play Dungeon and Dragon, and they would buy the Magic cards, and one of them was really trying to get us into it, so he would buy us packs and just. He was buying it, giving us cards, and I would just look at them and just throw them in the shoebox with my baseball card. Fast forward to about 6 months ago, my mom kept begging me to come and get all my baseball cards, and I sort of looked through them. I remember I seen a lot of Magic cards, still not knowing what they are. Fast forwarded to about a month ago, went back, said, "Hey, Mom, I want to take these boxes." My dad's all, "Oh, she threw them away." She said she asked you for 6 months to come and pick them up, and I was like, "Wow." So I don't know what I may have lost a couple months ago. And I know there was a ton of Magic cards because me and my brother started looking through it about during Thanksgiving, Christmas. Both times I went, I started looking. I was like, and I kept telling my brother, "Oh, look, we have a lot of Magic cards," because we always kind of go half on anything we have and we split it because they were both of all our cards. And well, they are in the dump somewhere. Good luck to somebody.
Okay. Well, Sneaky Joe, you're on the sidelines at soccer, so we'll go up as American Texan. We can't keep, and Yo-Yo's actually working his day job to support his Wonders habit. So we can't keep him too long, but American Texan, did you have any questions for Sneaky Joe and Yo-Yo, who we appreciate so much for being here?
Yeah, I really tried to catch Sneaky. I knew you had a seer's gaze. I knew you liked spells just from watching Capricorn's videos. So I specifically ran 2 Word of Serendipities in my deck. Be honest with me after the fact. Did my second Word of Serendipity surprise you when I countered your first seer's gaze?
I think you're talking about
your
Path of Light, right?
Yeah, Path of Light.
Yeah. So I only run 5 spells in that entire deck. 3 of them are Path of Light. 2 of them are Seer's Gaze, like you said. I was a little surprised when you came down with the second one, but I had 2 strategies at that point in the game. One was, if somehow he stops me from playing Path of Light, let's make sure he doesn't have enough actions to actually capitalize on it. So that's why I had brought down the Murkmire, I think, in that round, was to tap any land potential that you had. And then I did try to get the 2 Path of Lights out, but you were able to stop him with those Word of Serendipities, so that was very well played.
Yeah, I think real quick you realize you did the math, and he doesn't have enough actions, and so that was a great game. I'm a much better player. Ben, you have every right to be afraid of Sneaky or the boys if they go to the Baltimore or if you see him in Vegas.
Or Cap for that matter too.
But you and Cap, yes. But I'm specifically because I'm trying to hype up Sneaky here. You will come away a such better player. I mean, any of these guys, Yo-Yo and Capricorn. And let me just say, like I said, that internal conflict, like at the moment, we were happy to have those Magic players there, but also we were rooting for Yo-Yo because in the Final Four, unfortunately, it was Sneaky versus Vortex, but it was Yo-Yo versus the last remaining Magic player, and we all it was like we wanted family to win. We were like, as soon as Yo-Yo was done playing, we were like, hey, the other guys are still playing. Look at what's in their deck so you can get ready, and Roaming Boss was there too, and saying, here's what you need to strategize. Let's take a look at your side deck. We were all pulling for Yo-Yo to see him in the final, and I think we're all very proud of seeing you there and making it just the Wonders community. And that's not to be exclusionary. That's just like, again, it's like seeing your family in the championship. We wanted that to happen. And sorry it couldn't happen. Sneaky, your dream didn't come true this time, but I'm sure someday it will be your family in the final 2.
I'd love to see that, man. And you guys are so good. You have to keep me sharp because you guys are so good. I know if I stop for a second, you guys are going to overtake me. So
yes,
keep pushing me.
Ben, did you have any questions for Sneaky Joe or Yo-Yo?
No, just hearing about the way the tournaments went and stuff, and watching Capricorn's video and Texan's video. I was telling my son today, I got home from work, I said, we are so unprepared for this because we've just been playing each other. And so I play the cards I like, he plays the cards he likes. We know what to expect. And I'm hearing about all these strategies I didn't even think of. And so I'm just thinking, all right, well, win or lose, here we go.
Well,
but we'll see in Vegas though, right? Both you guys, Yo-Yo and Sneaky.
Oh yeah.
Oh
definitely.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my backyard right now.
Man, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for that.
Grace, before we get to you, is that Sneaky and Yo-Yo, something Ben said reminded me I wanted to ask you. I think it was American Texan in one of his videos talked about if you didn't know what you were doing, it was a little bit confusing. And I was curious about that, Sneaky Joe and Yo-Yo, is that the organization, I guess, organized compared to other tournaments that were going on there. How did you feel about the organization from the Wonders team and the tournaments?
So starting with Orlando, to be fair, I mean, when we got there, I liked their booth, their display, but I felt like they only had one employee there that was trying to manage everything. And there was a lot of judges that were new that didn't quite understand the game yet in Orlando. And so the cool thing is, though, is the Wonders community, the people that were there that knew how to play the game, they stepped up to help. They showed people how to learn and play at the booth just by volunteering and helping out. But from Orlando to Houston, it was much better run. They had more people there. Brian Tinsman was there. Ryder Tinsman was there. Jester, they hired him on a contract to come out and help be a judge and show people the game. And when I saw Wicked from Orlando to Houston, I'm like, okay, there's so much less stress in this guy's eyes. I'm so glad the team gave him the support that he needed in Houston. And so I felt like Houston overall was run better. It was managed a little bit better. It still has some hiccups. One thing I would recommend is they needed to bring that 10,000K advertisement for the sealed tournament on Sunday. They needed to bring that banner and have that sitting out in front of the Houston booth because that was what was attracting all the Magic players in Orlando. I did not see that banner in Houston, and I think they would have had a sold-out event if they had that banner there. And then the other issue, there were some complaints on the sealed play, just the beginning of registering your deck and doing the audit and the review. The form was pretty exhausting. It had some printing issues where cards were kind of missing, and some of them were out of order, not alphabetical. And so the first complaints that I heard from some of these Magic players that came around was like, this was kind of the worst start to a sealed game that they had ever had. Fortunately, they all enjoyed the game. But that first experience where the guy who was sitting across from me said, my son had convinced him to come and actually play. And he came, but he was not happy with how the checklist and everything went down. And so, taking those comments back, I sent them to Wicked because I like to give the team feedback because, just like everyone here, I'm all in. I want this game to be successful. And as they tweak these little things, the game will get better, the experience will get better. But ultimately, when you get down to the gameplay, people love this game. It is a very well-built game. Credit to Brian Tinsman, credit to Romel. Those guys have put so much of their time, energy into this game, and people love it. And so if we can just make it a little smoother for them on some of these different things as you go into each event, I think you'll get even more and more people to follow and stay with this game.
Yo-Yo, is there anything you want to add? Of course, you've been working with the Wonders team, the people behind it for now 3 years. So in the projects they had before, anything that you want to add? I think Sneaky Joe covered a lot.
He covered pretty much everything. I really enjoyed it. I really think Wicked and the team that was there did an amazing job. Little hiccups here and there, just with the sheets. I would say the sheets were a little frustrating when you couldn't find things on there, but that's something that's going to be simple to fix, I believe. So, hey, I wish them nothing but the best always.
All right, Grace, anything for these two before we go, and then we'll head to Capricorn, and then let them get back to the soccer field and the desk.
Nothing. Just for them to keep being their wonderful selves.
Awesome. Cap?
So I do want to point out, even though Sneaky and Yo-Yo were in the finals for sealed, Sneaky and myself were in the finals for constructed. And once again, he did pull out the win against me. And I just want to thank Sneaky because every single time I play against him, I think I am shored up and I'm not going to make any play mistakes. And there's always these little bits of silver lining things that get overlooked, and he helps make me a better player for sure. So I hit him in the finals in Orlando, ran into him in the finals here again in Houston. He beat me both times, but each time I've learned more and more. So I appreciate him as a competitor more than I can express with words for sure.
When's that video coming out, Cap? I've been waiting for that video. I want to see that.
I'm editing it, man. It's a lot of editing with all of the post work with the card images and stuff. So I'm working on it. It'll definitely be up before Baltimore.
Your team's not doing it, Capricorn?
What was that?
Your team's not working on it in the editing room right now?
What team, man? I'm grassroots.
I think the only team member he has left, I heard barking in the background.
Yeah. No, I'm really grateful. And another thing I want to add as a caveat, they were talking about like what they liked and what didn't, what worked best and what didn't at Houston. I do want to point out there was a change to how they handled going to time. And I feel like in Orlando, they did one extreme, and in Houston, they did another. And I'm curious what Sneaky and Yo-Yo think real quick before they head off. But in Orlando, it was when you go to time, you finish the current round and then the game's over, which meant everybody would rush through round 6 to get to 7. That way, when you hit time, you just get to play out the whole game. In Houston, they went a completely different direction. When you go to time, you get one action each, and then it's over. And I found that was problematic in the opposite extreme because sure, we weren't dragging the tournament on too long, but I found that one extra action never made enough of a difference to change anything. It was basically the same as just when time ends, it's over. And I am curious what Sneaky and Yo-Yo might think about that.
Yo-Yo, you want to take it first?
You know what? That did come up in 2 of my games. One time it worked in my favor. The second time, it also worked in my favor. But it wasn't in the sealed case. This was in the constructive where I would have got beat by Sneaky Son. The second time, Dr. Bray would have got me. So both times I ended up in draws. And it should have been losses. If time permitted, I would have lost, but it helped me get into the top 8 in both of those tournaments. And one of them I actually got to play Capricorn, and he knocked me out. And he went on to play Sneaky. So I can't complain about it. Do they need to work on it? Yes. Did it benefit me? Yes. So I'm on the fence on it.
Sneaky?
Yeah, my thoughts are I don't like it at all. When we got there on Friday night, they had a 1250 DBS event, and we weren't quite aware that was the rule in place. And because they had technical difficulties, they started that event late, and then they cut each match to 30 minutes. And so if you try to play a highly competitive Wonders match in 30 minutes, where Wonders is such a great game because you never really know the outcome, and a lot of people are saving up for their big bangs in round 6 and 7. But if you only have a 30-minute game, you might not ever get to that point where you can actually turn the game around. So that was a little disappointing. I had never had any of my matches go to time before, except for when they had that 30-minute cut. I was playing Ryder Tinsman, which was an honor to play him. A great player, one of the creators of the game. And I think we actually went to time in round 6, but he and I looked at each other and said, we'll just finish out the round anyway. So I think there was a judge standing over us who didn't really like that, but we did it anyway. And we wound up taking a draw that game. But it was because it was a 1250. It wasn't really like a meaningful game at the end of the day. But to answer your question, I can't stand that rule. I don't like it. I want my games to end. I understand if you have people slow playing a little bit, or you've got to end somewhere to keep the event on schedule. But I'm a finisher, and so if I can't finish a game, even if I'm gonna win and finish the game, I still don't feel like it's a win for me, because I want to see the full outcome of the game. So I'm not a fan of that rule.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Sneaky, anything final you want to add before we let you go?
Sure. We have an awesome community. I loved talking to Capricorn again. We have a great rivalry. Cap, you make me better. You are in my head, just so you know.
I'm gonna make you so good.
You and Team First Forms. I think about you guys and what you're up to, because I got to brew some sneaky stuff in the background for you. Texan, it was a pleasure. I didn't know how good of a player you were. I love your channels and everything that you were doing. And it was a pleasure to meet you. And I could tell you're a highly competitive player. If I didn't have a hunch that you had that T set, that game we played could have been very different. Yeah, and Grace, Ben, love your guys' channels. I also want to give a shout out to Yo-Yo. He's a good friend. We've got, I think, an event that we got to finish, huh, Yo-Yo, on Capricorn's channel, I think tomorrow night. So Yo-Yo's a great player and he's a good friend. So just want to shout out and thank you, Slappy, for the time and everything. And just a shout out to the Wonders community. Love you guys. There's so many great people that help. There's people that have sent me cards, all kinds of things. We have a really great community, and I appreciate it. Everything the Wonders team is doing. It's a great game. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Sneaky Joe, for taking time, obviously from your family in the field. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Sneaky Joe, we'll let you go, and then we'll say goodbye to Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo is, I think he handed it off to you. So any final words?
I was just going to ask him if he was holding his phone up the whole time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Have you seen the arms on that man? And no wonder. I see what he does for exercise now. He holds phones up for a good half hour. You know what? Like Sneaky said, it was a pleasure to meet American Texan Capricorn once again. Haven't had the pleasure of meeting Grace and Ben yet. I've seen their channels also. Love everything anybody does. American Texan. I was very open. I love his stuff. I watch it as Capricorn. Watch all your guys' stuff. Anything you guys do for the community is just amazing. Let's continue to grow this and just have great tournaments and keep that good vibe going. So thank you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do.
Absolutely, my dude.
Thank you so much, Yo-Yo, and thanks for taking time. We know you're really busy in between Houston and Baltimore. Seriously, though, thank you for taking the time.
I'm literally packing and getting my cards ready for Baltimore. Like, I fly out tomorrow. I haven't even had time. I don't have enough time in the day to even prepare. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing at this point, honestly.
Well, the good news is we're going to let you go. So here's an extra 10 minutes that we won't hold you on this live show any longer.
God bless, man. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Yo-Yo.
Can I share a funny story from something one of the Magic players said to me at Sealed?
Yeah.
And this will be a little bit of an inside joke because I couldn't say this because no one would have gotten it. The Magic player, Sneaky talked about the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet was very... we could understand it because we know the game, but if you're on the outside, I could totally see how confusing it was. The spreadsheet was in order of orbital, and then inside each orbital, it was in order of alphabetical order. So if you know how the cards are ordered numerically, you start with the mythics, then the epics, and then within those mythics, they're in alphabetical order, the epics are in alphabetical order. So it was not in card number order, and it wasn't in total alphabetical order. It was barely in orbital order because then also the tokens were on their own section. The first was nowhere on the sheet. You had to write it in. And then, there was some stuff missing because of print error. But the funny thing happened when the Magic player next to me, who was I'm not going to say who he was, but he was a person I didn't want to sit next to. And all he did was complain about the game and the registration process. But the funniest thing he said, and he didn't realize he said it, and it's funnier for us. He said, "Why did they put it in this order? They should have put it in numerical order. This is alphabetical order, and alphabetical order is hard. And let's put it in number order." And I said, there's more numbers than letters in the alphabet, where I thought. But the funny thing is he obviously doesn't know that you cannot tell the difference between 3s and 5s on the numbers. And if it was in numerical order, that would have taken even longer to try to get the checklist going. So I'm actually thankful it was in alphabetical order.
I was sorting cards earlier today, and I just stared for like 3 minutes at a card, and I was like, "Is this a 3 or a 5?"
Grace, the bifocals. American Texan said in his video, you got to bring the bifocals. Get them on, and then you can read all the cards.
I still can't tell 3s and 5s. That's how I figured out. Okay, mythic, epic, rare, uncommon, common, and it's in alphabetical order from there. If you do that, minus the Skyseeker, minus Emma, you're gonna be, and obviously the first, you're gonna be okay. You'll get it in numerical order if you do it that
I
way.
just sort mine into the piles of 10s, but I do that after I've sorted them in half on this is M and above, and that is M and below. So that my sorting strategy is insane.
Yeah, I felt bad because I was able to sort it through, because that's exactly how I sorted. I sorted by orbital, and then can figure it out from there. So I finished before everyone else, even though I got kind of a late start, and everyone's just kind of like looking at me, and I'm like, just don't worry, take your time, whatever I can help you with. And the guy across from me was fantastic. He had questions about the game, and I learned from Capricorn, don't help him out too much. So I didn't explain strategy to him.
Yeah.
But I did explain the rules when he asked about things like what is attuned. I told him what attuned was. I didn't tell him, Patria was wonders attuned, Heliosynth was equipment attuned. I didn't go deep into stuff, but I just helped them play the game. And at the very end, I was still, figuring out my deck, and I don't remember what it was. But the guy raised his hand and was like, all right, you got 60 more seconds. And I was like, 60 more seconds to deck build or 60 more seconds to sleeve our cards? And he's like, 60 more seconds to sleeve your cards. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I start sleeving my cards. And the guy across me, he's like, can I help you? And he grabbed some of my sleeves, grabbed some of my cards, and started sleeving cards with me. So he was super nice, super fun. And I think he actually placed higher than me. So kudos to that guy. Like I said, a lot of the Magic players were excited to learn the game and then play the game.
Well,
The
and
Magic players were way better than in Orlando. I don't necessarily just mean skill, but kind of skill too. But just their attitudes. It was almost like they were halfway to being the way everyone in our community is right now, to feeling like part of the Wonders community. And you had actually asked a question earlier about how much of the Magic player base are we expecting to pull over to Wonders. And I know we've kind of moved on from that, but really quick, I kind of want to touch on that, because even though the larger player base, like all of the commander players and the casual players and stuff, I have no idea how many of those people we can expect to pull over. When it comes to the competitive players that like to go out to these tournaments and compete for prizes and compete for money, I actually think we'll probably end up pulling half of those players over to us in the long term, because this game, the way it is right now in a one-on-one competitive environment, feels the way Magic used to feel in the first decade of Magic's existence, where it feels like the premier one-on-one competitive game. And so will we get commander players? Who knows? Will we get casuals? Who knows? But I think a lot of these competitive Magic players that are going around to different events and trying to win money, I think they're really going to be enticed to come over to our side. I think that's just where the real competition is, so to speak. That's my opinion on that.
Well, Capricorn did. I'm not familiar with the purse prize. I remember talking with Wicked and talking about when he used to be on tour for a different game and the type of earnings he could find. But the amount of prize money is that I'm not sure. I mean, I've heard about players, the elite players, and how much money they can make. Is 10,000 at Houston? Is that enough to entice them over? Or what's Magic offering at?
It's getting there. Okay. It's a step in the right direction. Magic is about ×4 what we are at all levels.
Only 4.
So their big World Championship Pro Tour events are usually $500,000 total, and Vegas is $125,000 total. It's about 1/4. I also did some math. Actually, when we were leaving the event, Texan was dropping me off at the airport because he's a solid dude, and I did some math on my phone, and it's about $40,000 in cash prizes for the equivalent events for Magic of what we had at SCG Con Houston with the $10,000 sealed. So I think just all around Magic is basically at about 4 times, which this is early days for the game. So if we're already at 25% of what they're at, and with all of the news of the celebrity guests coming in and how big I think that's going to blow up the community. I would expect us to be at least comparable to Magic. And I expect a lot of those Magic players to feel like there isn't as much standing in their way of winning in a new game like this with less players. You know, you don't have to get sweaty. They have like 16 rounds or something crazy that they have to go through over multiple days for Magic to get to that prize pool. And it heavily favors, you know, the top performers a lot more than the Wonders payout does right now. Wonders is a little bit more generous with people that aren't placing quite as high when compared to Magic. So I think it's really enticing, even with the money where it's at right now. I think it's still really enticing for Magic players to be like, oh, I have a way bigger chance with spending way less time to come over here and win some money. And I think that's only going to grow as the game gains popularity and the prize pools increase.
Interesting. Touch on it. Did anybody have any comment on that? I think he kind of summed that up perfectly. Because otherwise, I wanted to ask Ben. I know that American Texan talks in his video about sealed is very different than pre-constructed. So you're going to Baltimore, Ben, right?
Yep.
And you're doing sealed, pre-constructed. What are you doing? Everything?
Well, so speaking of which, that's another thing that scared me is about how American Texan had to sprint to his constructed event because we signed up for all 4 of them. And so I guess obviously Friday and Sunday we can make those, but Saturday might be a little snug. But, you know, we've just been playing sealed, me and my kids, just because it's a slow way to open the cards and it puts you on pretty even playing field. You know, someone can't get this deck that when they have this huge box of cards or whatever and pull all kinds of crazy things out of it. It's just nice to know that you're getting random stuff, they're getting random stuff. Who can put together the best deck? So we've all just played sealed, and we'll get a couple of our kids and open a booster bundle and make a deck. And anyway, when this competition came up, I was telling my son, we got to start figuring out how to make a standard deck because we've only been playing sealed. And so we literally, I keep telling them it's training. We've spent the past couple of weeks just I made like 5 decks and we just kept cycling through them. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. And we still don't have it figured out. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Let me tell you, when you find that deck, like I found mine, like literally it started as a video. I was making a meme deck and I played it through with Filizino, and I was like, that was actually like really good. It felt good to pilot and match my play style. And he was like, yeah, you know, with some tweaks, you could actually probably take this pretty far. And I was working with Hanging Bananas, and I was working with True Story, No Lie, and then Mighty Fluke. I played them all over the last 2 weeks, and they were helping me not just build the deck, but also get in the competitive mindset. Like, hey, this isn't kitchen table. Like, you need to go. Like, I think it was can't remember. It's all a blur now. But one of them was like literally like, stop fooling around and just go out, go for the stone, go for the blood. And I'm like, well, I want to do this and see if I can. He's like, no, go for the attack. And so I had to, like, they really helped me with that. But once all that said, once you find that deck that matches your play style, like everything kind of clicks into place, and you're not trying to build a deck anymore. Now you're trying to fine tune it and take things.
Well, that's
out
what we
and put things
determined.
in.
I was telling my son, he's like, Dad, we don't know what to do. We don't know what the best deck is. And I said, you know what? It's just going to come down to what style do you like to play? What cards do you like to play? How do you have fun playing? He's like, Dad, you can't win by having fun. And I said, I know, but what cards do you like to play? Play those. And that's what you're going to do. The deck you think is the most fun to play. And it's actually interesting, American Text, and watching your video, I had that same idea is what if you just made a deck of cheap vanilla wonders? I thought, why? Because you could come out with some powerhouses if you just had cheap vanilla wonders. And then when I heard about how far you went with that, I thought, man, well, there goes he got the idea before I did.
Stop giving away all the secrets.
I know. I like it. Give me more, guys. Give me more.
Well, what's cool about Texan's deck and having a bunch of vanilla wonders is like it's naturally resilient to nullify a lot more.
Right.
It's
like,
the perfect
sure,
anti-meta.
You could still get value off of Ethos Relic if you have that combo with your nullify stuff. You'll technically still like draw a card off of them or whatnot. But like if the majority of your investment in your card is strictly for power and not for text box, you're losing a lot less when they do their nullify shenanigans. So that's what I love about Texan's deck is it's just kind of naturally resilient to what people kind of want to gravitate towards right now, and I love that.
Right.
Now, Grace,
Yeah,
you're not.
I was just going to say, I surprised a lot
Texas.
of people with I surprised a lot of people with Lamp of Luferia because it nullifies all wonders in the realm, yours included. So not many people expect it because why would you want to nullify your own wonders? Well, I already got all the value I need out of them, either because they were vanilla or they were just a non-arrival, and I don't care what they do after that. So that surprised quite a few people. That was a lot of fun, and they had
Not
fun
bad.
being surprised. It wasn't a trounce. It was like,
Not
oh wow,
bad.
I didn't expect that.
Beyond Texan, before this weekend, there was 0% chance because of family financial commitments that you were going to go to Baltimore. Be honest. Coming out of this weekend, what percentage did you say, can I make Baltimore work? I know it was greater than 0% after this weekend. And
Absolutely
was it
not.
it
No,
wasn't at
it's my
1%.
No, my daughter has her first musical this weekend. She's been putting in a lot of work.
Okay.
She's the reason why I was almost late tonight because she has play practice till 9 o'clock every day this week, like straight from after school. And it's funny because I get to tell her like, I just had 20-hour days and 4 hours of sleep, and now you're going into not quite there, but 16 to 18-hour days, and you're going to have only 6 hours of sleep every night. And you still got to do homework, and I still had to load the van for the soccer game for my wife to take my son. And I had to miss that. And I said, but, you're going to have so much fun, and it's so much worth the work. And just being able to tell her that after I just came off of having to deal with all that was very timely. But no, still zero,
Zero.
-1,
Okay.
never happening. Like, it's musical week. It's all about her this weekend. And the
How old
family's
is she,
coming
by
in
the way?
town. She's 12. This will be her
Okay.
first musical. So yeah, 0% chance. Now Vegas, I'm still trying to figure out.
So did the Vegas went up for you?
Vegas went way up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever think you mentioned about the Magic players, some of their attitude on like, I'm just done and I'm leaving. Do you think it hurt because that was Sunday, you're saying, where you saw that feedback, and you mentioned how exhausted, and Capricorn mentioned how exhausted he was. So if you're a Magic player going over to a new game, and whether it's the registration or, the paperwork or something else are you exhausted at that point where it's going to be harder to convert them and of course, when they first get there, though, they're excited about Magic. So you can't really steal them then. I can't remember if it was Capricorn or you who was saying, they on Sundays your chance to grab them. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? They're exhausted, and we all know how we are when we're exhausted.
Yeah, that could have been it. I think most of the people that dropped out after the third round, I think they were just there by themselves. So they didn't have a team. They didn't have friends. I know there was a team that showed up because they were like, all right, Team Magic, let's go. And I'm like, I'm hunting you first. But I know. So they stuck around because, they wanted to spectate and help their friends. But I think, yeah, being on Sunday is part of it. They showed up. It was $30. They got $200 worth of value in return, and they got their promo card. They didn't care to play. They wanted to get home early. I guess that was part of it. Yeah, I didn't think about Sunday and the exhaustion being a reason why some people just dropped out.
Yeah.
Totally valid.
We did get a question from the audience. Grace, do you want to take a crack at that? Vass says, do you think that the decks for the Dragon Cup will be more vanilla?
I think that I want to be clear that when I'm answering this, I'm talking about on the whole. I'm aware that there are people, Capricorn, and others who
Bless
will
you.
be fine-tuning their decks and trying to find as close as possible to what their main meta deck is. But I also think that there are going to be people who are just finding the cards that they can make work at a price value. And I think that some of the vanilla wonders will be less expensive and easier to get your hands on because they're not meta. So they could be less valuable, and so we could see more use of vanilla wonders because they're not being chased by all the people who are chasing the nullify cards or the other cards that they need to make their deck work, because it's if nothing else, it's filler. There is not a single deck that I can think of where it wouldn't help you to run one or two vanilla wonders. Like, I think every deck, unless you're running some sort of crazy scheme, should have some vanilla wonders in it, just as a safety net. Because what happens when all your cards get nullified? There's too much of that in the meta to not have some. I don't know that really answers the question, but there's my.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, and vanillas, I found out one of the strategy for vanillas is they simply don't have that much DBS. So if you've got a solid deck,
It's true. Yeah.
and you have it's at like say 967, and you're like, well, I still need 2 cards. Put some vanillas in there, and you got some power on the board too. Early game. That's Sneaky dropped the boundless. Is it Oliphant, the 2/5 on me? He dropped it on me on
Quadratusk?
Realm 2. Quadratusk?
Yeah.
Okay. He dropped that on me on Realm 2, and I had to not commit to it because I didn't have my vanilla, and I was already in Realm 1, so I just let him have it. I let him have 2 and 3 because he dropped, I think, 2 in those lanes or something. And I just had to let him have it because it was like, I can't get this early. This game's all about when a realm opens up, I need to fill it. And so we were past that. I couldn't get it. So that basically 2/5, or for him, it was a 1/5, got him the stone in 2. It was a solid strategy from him, and a little bit of what my deck was doing as well.
I'm really excited to see what the Dragon Cup decks are going to be. I think there's going to be a huge variety. And in fact, my deck that I put together is the wonkiest deck. I mean, it plays really well, but when I look at the cards, I think I would have never made this deck out of regular cards. But just because those were the OCMs and the former spoils I had, I put them all together and they work. And I thought, that's weird how this works. I would have never made this deck in real life. My question is, do you guys get nervous when you put your deck together and it's like 850 DBS? Do you think, oh shoot, is my deck not powerful enough? Because there's been a couple of times I've made a deck that was 999, and I thought, oh, this is going to be good, and it wasn't that good. And I made a deck that was like 847, and it was way better. I don't know.
I feel worse when I think of the perfect card and it takes it over 1,000. And I'm
We're
like,
at 1001.
DBS, I really feel like is a range because, like you said, you can have a DBS that's up here, and the deck's just not going to do what you want it to because it doesn't synergize in the way it needs to. The real metric, in my opinion, for whether or not your deck is good is A, playing it and does it win, but B, if you can't look at it, look at whether or not it's synergizing, because I can put a bunch of high DBS cards in a deck and it'll do something.
But it messes with your mind so much. It messes with your mind. Like I made a deck that was exactly 1,000 points. And I thought, oh, this is going to be sweet. After playing with it, I realized there was a couple tweaks I had to make. I tweaked literally like 3 cards, and it was like 879. And I thought, oh man, but it's just in my head. It was in my head. Like, is it still going to work? It's 879 now.
I'm not gonna lie. This might be one of the more controversial things that I say. I don't think of DBS value as how good a card is. I think of DBS value as what is my budget for this deck. If I can make a good deck and I don't need the full budget, great. If I'm going over budget, well, I can't do that. And yeah, DBS will say, cool, it might say this card is good, but it's only good if you partner it with this other card, and that's why its DBS is high. DBS is too dependent on too many different things for me to really look at it and go, high DBS, good card. There's just too much. I just look at it as a budget.
So you're telling me I'm worrying for nothing.
Sometimes the DBS can be a bait and switch in a way. There are definitely certain cards in the DBS right now that have low DBS specifically to incentivize people to use those cards and see how far they can go. There are some really crazy low DBS cards. I mean, look at the Quill. Quill is like single-digit DBS. Yeah. Like, there's no way that's representative of the power level. Like, that's clearly we want to incentivize everyone to use the Quill and see how far they can push it. And there's a bunch of cards like that. You've got the Lich is only 5 DBS. You've got Pastel Bloom Drake is single digits, and that's using a crazy combo with Rocket, and Rocket's not even that expensive either.
I think a lot of the DBS is also rarity aligned, because a lot of the high cost things, now you got some exceptions like Razia, but I mean, a lot of the high cost cards are commons and uncommons. And I think it's high cost because Wonders was specifically built to have great cards as common and uncommons. But since everyone can get them, or you have a high chance of pulling them, well, let's make sure that not every deck is running these uber powerful cards, and so they increase.
And if you can run the secondaries, you see those higher often as well, because you can run 3 copies of them. Like Seer's Gaze, Moonfire Crystal Mouse are the immediate 2 that come to mind. They're, in my opinion, they're certainly the 2 best commons, if not 2 of the best cards in the entire game. But like the more copies of a card you can run it tends to correlate with its DBS value. We just haven't Cap hasn't broken Pink's Board Dream Cap enough for them to put it as high as it should be yet.
Well, the issue is they might want you to run a Phoenix Quill, but you got to get a Phoenix Quill first. That's the issue.
Yep.
And the thing that makes me really nervous, based off the spoilers and seeing some of your guys' videos, the references to the quill in the new set. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if, because first of all, how's that going to work if Phoenix Quill is so rare? But it makes me wonder: is there going to be another quill? Is there going to be a something else quill?
Is there another zero cost?
Is there a Phoenix Quill? And then there's going to be like a Dragon Quill or some other kind of quill. And there's, I don't know. Maybe every set will have this quill.
I have a question. I have a question. Did everybody see the new video that went live today showing off 5 different arts for Valen Voss? Raise your hands if you've seen it.
Yeah, they just flashed on the screen really quick.
So
I saw it.
If you pay attention to that, one of them is a close-up of his face, and he's holding a quill, but it's a blue quill.
Oh, man.
It is not a red quill.
Oh,
that has to be something. I don't
Give it
know
to
what
us.
it is.
I'm telling you,
they're not Phoenix Quill hunters. They're just quill hunters.
I've been saying this since we found out about story tokens. I said it's going to be a prime number. It's going to be 1. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 3. It's going to be 5. We know it's not 1. I don't think it's going to be 2 either. Like I know we've seen 2, but I think we're going to get more than 2 story tokens for Valen. Like it's my gut feeling.
How many quills are we going to get? That's the question.
Maybe that's what really. Maybe they do 1 quill every set, and if you can get all of them on the board, that's how the prisoner is freed.
Infinity stones,
Oh,
infinity quills.
I don't know.
Here's
That's
my
exciting.
thing though. I am still not convinced. Everyone's like,
There it is.
We see the
There
photo
he is.
in.
Oh, I didn't see that.
See it on the end?
I didn't see that.
If you go forward a few frames, it centers it so you can see it a little bit better.
Oh man.
Yeah, there you go. Well, too far.
So there's a quill there too. That looks like the Phoenix Quill though.
Yeah, that one on the book when we went too far, that was the Phoenix Quill. But the one in his hand is blue. So I mean,
Ooh,
that one, but he's
man.
also boundless. So I'm wondering
Let's
if it's
get him
the
here.
boundless quill.
A quill in every orbital. That makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
To me, it does.
Have
Like
we all
there was a
seen the
shattering, all the
cards?
stones broke, but then also maybe there was the shatterer had feathers.
Slappy, have you
I don't know.
seen the new cards that were spoiled at Houston?
No. Well, watching your video, talking about, I will say, I'm glad that you brought that up though about the blue quill here. I think that stepping back beyond the blue quill, what it means is what people don't understand is what the Wonders team likes to do. Everything they release. For instance, in the announcement, they talked about the fact that we were going to have Tom Felton, but if you looked at the box artwork on the booster, it said Ben Affleck on it. It said that we were going to have Arnie on it as well. So when you're looking through these videos, the one thing is it's very hard. It's very cinematic, but you got to take the time and actually go down frame by frame. I'll admit I'm not as good as you guys. You guys catch everything. But what were you going to say, Cap, about the new cards?
They're just insane. Story tokens are insane. They change the game in so many ways. Like we have 2 examples. Or if you watched my video detailing these new spoilers, I lay out the reasons why I'm almost positive that the second card is a story token, even though it's cut off and it doesn't say it. So I'm pretty sure that's also a story token. I think these are 2 story tokens.
It says Valen Voss as the faction. It's a story token.
There has to
No,
be.
here's
There's no
how
way
you
it's
know.
not.
Here's how you know. Valen Voss is on play and tap free.
Yep.
Now, if
And
you
they
bring
gave us
in the
this-
dragon is a legendary story token. So you can't run 2 in your deck. So there has to be to me, that tells me there has to be multiple story tokens.
Yep. And the dragon finds a legendary, presumably item with cost 0 from the top 4. And also has a clause that it has to be sacrificed if you don't have a Phoenix Quill. Or maybe if you do have a Phoenix Quill at end
Or
of
some
round.
other quill.
That part's a little a little vague.
It just said legendary.
So-
Zero cost, right?
But that's another thing, something else I commented on Capricorn's video was I've thought about making a token deck before because there's a lot of cards that refer to all your tokens get this, all your tokens get that. And I thought, what if you made just a token deck only? Well, the story tokens make that even more powerful because now it's not just these random token cards you're creating that people just pile up from their packs they get, but these story tokens are also included in that, I would imagine.
Don't sleep on those story tokens. Jay
Layer.
Fire destroyed me with a token deck. I mean, he flooded the board.
Extra layer of super tech before COTS comes out. Everyone's going to forget about this by the time COTS comes out. Don't forget about this. Kraken of the Inferno. It's not that good right now.
Mute him.
Don't worry about running it.
Mute him.
On arrival, kill a token.
Don't listen to Capricorn.
On arrival, kill a token.
You're giving away the secret sauce here.
Yeah, that's gonna be big. That Kraken's gonna be because before it's like, who's gonna destroy someone's random skeleton token? Who cares? But oh man, the story tokens, the Kraken is gonna be put on the board.
Yeah, it's I think
good call.
And that's just three DBS. That's an example of what this team loves to do. And I remember Ramel telling me that like way back at the Shattering, like, oh, we love the idea of making stuff in new sets that changes the way you think about stuff that's already there in the old sets. And everything they're doing kind of so far is a testament to that. The Qantas that can presumably search up a Phoenix Quill, making the Phoenix Quill better. And now Valen's Apprentice gets back any legendary item. That makes every legendary item just better. And Kraken of the Inferno gets better because story tokens are tokens. There's like layers of this stuff. And we've already seen in the Discord, Frenchie talking about how, and some other people talking about how Emma's going to get a lot better. I think Joe Doug mentioned it at one point. Like Emma's going to be crazy after COTS. You're not ready. And like, she's good now, but she's not like way up here in the meta. But I don't doubt maybe she will be by the time COTS comes out.
How many of you are on the playtest team? Anyone?
I should be though.
Yeah.
I told Wicked in Houston, I'm like,
I applied at some point.
Second. I keep placing really high in all these. Why am I not on the playtest team?
So that way you can conjecture without having to worry about your principles. Because we actually had somebody on earlier today who's on the playtest team. And what I really wanted to ask, and I don't know how restricted they are, but I would love to know, right? The playtest team, when they were developing it for the existence, they were building a game. So it was just a question of, is it broken or is it not? I really want to talk to the playtest team because I want to find out, like, how are these story tokens? Like, I mean, like, what is happening? Like, how are they incorporating it? Like, I also want to know did they run into a lot of problems, or because they have the game down now, was it a smoother transition? And it's more about the players getting used to the new format than, before it was about fixing the game. Now it's more about just seeing the effect it has on the players. I think it's not so much, they're obviously looking to see if it breaks anything, but it's more seeing about how they play. By the way, we have a question. J-Beck does say Emma prices are going to spike, but there's a question also from Vass. Why do you guys think that Wonders made Tom Felton the face of this set? I might be wrong, but Ben Affleck is a bigger star, Oscar winner, played more badass roles than Tom. No offense to Felton, of course.
Audience research. Ben Affleck's a bigger fan, but a bigger fan of what demographic? People who play trading cards?
I think it's two things. I think it's money. I think Felton is probably getting paid for all the different things, and different things have probably been negotiated, and there's a price for being on the box, and there's a price for doing this and a price for doing that. And it's probably a money thing. But I also talked about this in my video. One of my videos. I don't remember which one. That goes to show you how many videos I've been doing lately. Tom Felton is going to appeal to a very specific audience, an audience that I would very much be in the demographic of, and that Magic has been really, really struggling with and failing to appeal to lately. Cap, I don't know if you paid attention to the, like, how do we get women to play Magic thing? And it's so bad. Like, the ways that they're trying to get women to play Magic, it mind-bogglingly bad. And I think a huge part of it is that Tom Felton will appeal to the rabid horde of Harry Potter female fans, and like it'll pull women into the game. I've seen several people comment in Discord where they were like, my wife saw this spoiler, now we have to play, and now she's like, I have to play. So I think there's twofold there.
I think there's also some smart marketing where like you don't just have to think about what the person's going to pull in, but also the perception it's going to have like potentially negatively. So like I think Tom Felton is really safe choice for marketing for the box because he'll pull in a lot, but there aren't a lot of people it'll push away. You have someone like Ben Affleck on the box. Like sure, there are some people that are going to see that and do a double take and want to get interested, but at the same time, you're going to have plenty of people being like, Ben Affleck's in this game, like Giga Chad, you know what I mean? And I think Ben Affleck is one of those things where like if you care about him and you find out about his card, you're excited and you'll buy the product. But when it comes to someone just seeing something on a shelf, you know, I don't know. I just feel like Tom Felton might be the better choice. I think those decisions are made very carefully with every aspect of it, you know, taken into account. And I don't think Tom Felton's pushing anyone away. I think some people might argue that, you know, Ben is probably the most out of place of the three that we've heard about so far. And I think he's still cool enough. I'm excited. I'm hoping that he's an angel because I'm a Dogma fan. And I just want to reference to his character in Dogma.
Yeah, that's great.
But I could definitely understand how there's some demographic of people that would see Ben Affleck and be like, why is Ben Affleck in my fantasy game? More so than someone like Tom Felton.
I think part of it is the face recognition. When you see Tom Felton, most people, when they see Tom Felton's face, they go, Draco Malfoy. When you see Ben Affleck's face, you go, oh, that's Ben Affleck. And so I think there's that level of like, we want you to look at this and think of the fantasy thing versus we want you to look at this and see the actor.
Right. And Skizzy has the great comment here. That's more important than anything else y'all are saying. Like, fine, great, yeah, whatever. But it's not the real thing. I'm telling you the real thing. It's they have a great marketing team, I'm sure, that knows the audience demographic, that if they sign, which I'm sure they started with the actors first, and then they figured out who needs to go on the box. And yes, it could have been a money thing. However, who's going to stop at Target, right? You're going to get the Harry Potter people. Oh, that's Draco Malfoy. Now, the Harry Potter people are going to be our age, between 30 and 40, 45. We played trading cards growing up. We understand the concept of trading cards. And
you're assuming
Harry
we're all
Potter
the same
people,
age.
Harry Potter it has brought in people to collect. They collect wands, they collect the books, the hardcovers, the soft covers, the collectible covers. They have statues, they have scarves, they have Quidditch things. Like Harry Potter folks, and I'm mildly one of them, but I got a cousin that's a huge Harry Potter fan. Like, they already understand the idea of collecting. Ben Affleck fans, they understand the idea of going to the movies and seeing Ben Affleck and seeing him on the red carpet and who is he dating. That's what they're mostly concerned about with Ben Affleck. So I think it really comes down to the type of person that they want, the what we call the ideal avatar in the marketing world. That's who we want to attract. And Tom Felton does that head and shoulders above Ben Affleck. Yes, Ben Affleck has more prestige. He has more experience. He's been in more movies. He's better movies. He's a better actor. He was Batman, right? But for the type of player that's going to buy and invest and enjoy this game the most, it's going to be the fan of Tom Felton.
And
yeah,
when you
so there's
look
your disagreement, Radish.
well, and when you look at Ben Affleck, of course, we all know him for Dunkin' Donuts, and you just think about that. But when you think about with Carolina Girl, you have not seen the 1 million Dunkin' Donut commercials that Ben Affleck's done?
No, I don't really watch much that has ads. Like, yeah, I stick to my Netflix.
You didn't see the famous ad where he's working a drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts, and Jennifer Lopez, when he was still married to her, drives through, and he hands her like her Dunkin' Donuts, and she's like, Ben, this is where you've been? And he's like, working a job. Like, I guess it's the age gap, but he's from Boston, and Dunkin's a Boston brand, and so that's why he's tied with him. But so for me, Ben Affleck's Dunkin', but what do you know Tom Felton for? I don't know him for anything, which is good. Like, I don't know him hawking anything. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, you know, he hawks 26 brands. I don't know what he's hawking because he hawks everything. So it is nice with Tom Felton, and to a certain extent is Ben Affleck is known for so many roles, whereas Tom Felton is, yeah, everything you guys are saying, he's known for that fantasy world. So he's perfect. He's not out hawking a lot of things. He seems like he's going to be very authentic. From what Frenchie said, he's excited about the brand. He wants to take, and let's be real, we could never get Ben Affleck. He's not going to show up to Vegas. I'm not saying Tom Felton is, but Ben Affleck's not, unless Frenchie paid him, probably $1 million to show up to Vegas, and that's not going to happen. But you guys bring up a really good point about the Ben Affleck. The more you guys have talked about this, and it was a great question, Vass, that you brought up, is now I'm wondering, like, why is Ben Affleck and I'm curious, like, he's so creative. Frenchie is just such a creative genius. Like, this whole business about bringing in celebrities, again, I think Texan, you mentioned the on-card autos. I don't mention it enough. That's a very important part. Is like, these are on-card autos. They're not stickers. Frenchie's bringing these folks in, and he's doing it kind of like James Bond, right? It's like you had Sean Connery, you had Daniel Craig. So we're not tied to these people. So he's doing so many great creative things that, when on the face of it, that you guys have convinced me that Ben Affleck is a bad choice. And so I'm trying to wonder to myself, like, what are we not seeing? What is going to happen in the game? How is Ben Affleck going to be portrayed in the game that we're not seeing? Because I'm not hearing all the reasons why they should have spent the money on Ben Affleck.
I mean, I think he's a great choice to be in the game. He's just not the right choice to be on the box. By putting his name and not his picture on the box, you're getting the appeal that we talked about, that Cap talked about, of somebody's going to walk up and see Ben Affleck's name on the box and go, I need to know what's going on here. He appeals to a different audience than the Tom Felton audience. And by having the name on there, you're hitting this much audience with Felton, and then you're getting some of this audience over here, there we go. With the Ben Affleck name on the box. Like, it's, by doing all the different names, it appeals in different ways to different people. And it's, in my mind, it's a smart move because it's not putting all your eggs in one basket.
We'll have to wait and see.
I think they're very tactical with what they're doing. It seems like, just from the 3 that we've seen so far, they're trying to hit very specific demographics. And like someone like Tom Felton on the box makes a lot of sense, because I think Tom can pull in impulse buys a lot better than like a Ben Affleck. But there are people that Ben Affleck can pull in that nobody else would ever pull in. Somebody goes and searches up on Google Ben Affleck autograph because they really want a Ben Affleck autograph. And then they go down the rabbit hole of, there's this game and there's a card of him and he's signed it. Like, that could bring in people to buy the product that are just whales for Ben Affleck that otherwise would never be here. And that's something that a name like Ben Affleck can do that maybe other names can't do. So I think they're doubling down on the kind of people that can bring in people that will appreciate games, like Tom Felton, but they're also playing the other end of the spectrum of, let's go further. Let's throw in a couple people that can bring in completely auxiliary draw that would never normally even care about this, and get them to buy product too.
And let's not forget how many Arnold Vosloo fans there are. I had no idea. The Discord was blowing up just as much for him as they were for Affleck. I'm like over here, like, we're going to get Daredevil on a card. But I like the Daredevil movie. I don't care. Hate me for it. Send emails to Capricorn, quarantinecapricorn@gmail.com. Yeah, a lot of folks were super, super excited for Arnold Vosloo. I only know him as Alexa Lamoon or whatever he says in The Mummy.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I know him from. But there's a lot of fans in the Discord. And again, you get that perfect mesh, that perfect overlap of, apparently, Magic is a game that a lot of Arnold Vosloo players, fans enjoy. So did I say Magic? I meant to say Wonders. Apparently Wonders is a game that a lot of Arnold Vosloo fans enjoy. So maybe we can find more of that overlap and bring them over this way. I'm
going to put in a poll in the Discord, and also obviously the comments here. I'd like to hear people say rank them in order: Arnie Vosloo and Ben Affleck and Tom Felton, in order of, like, which ones you want to see the most in the set. It's a little bit unscientific because you could only want one and don't care about the other two. Like that's what we really want to hear about. But Vass brings up social media, and it's interesting because Tech Super and I, when we were talking about this right after the news drop, we went ahead and looked up the followers, and we didn't hit TikTok, but just Instagram and X. And it's interesting because Tom Felton absolutely crushes Ben Affleck. He's at 15 million followers just between those two. So to what you guys have been saying, why he's on the box is right. This is what you're doing is you're trying to, if they can get 0.1% of 15
The
million.
Potter Horde.
What's that?
The Potter Horde.
Yes. Yeah, but you're just looking for what's a percentage, like how big? Let me ask all of you guys, Ben, how big is the Wonders community right now? Of course, Discord's an echo chamber, and as a reminder, I think it's 13% of the US female population is on Discord. Discord is a very small minority of people, and people get stuck in the Discord echo chamber. So Wonders team has been trying to push this. That's why it's in Target. There's a whole community out there that we don't see. And so how big would you say the community is right now? People know of it, people who've played it, people who own a card. I mean, is that 1,000 people? Is that 10,000 people? What is it, Ben?
I have no idea. And that's a great question too, because I was actually just at work today talking to a guy, and he said, "Hey, so what do you do when you're not working at the hospital?" And I said, "Oh, I actually have a YouTube channel." And we started talking, there's this really cool collectible card game, Wonders of the First. He said, "I've never heard of it." But he's a Magic player. He's a Dungeons and Dragons player, and he's never heard of Wonders of the First. And I have no idea how big it is, but I think after this, it's going to get way bigger. It's going to become way more of a household name with what they're doing with Call of the Stones.
I think we're in the 3,000 to 5,000 range because there's aren't there a couple thousand in the Discord?
I'll go check while you continue with your thought.
It's like 2,000 or 3,000, I think, on the Discord.
Yeah, and I'm just saying conservatively, we're assuming. I assume some people who are in the Discord, like if we just count everyone in the Discord as part of the community, even if they're not active all the time, just count that. I think we can get another 1,000-ish of people who may not be in the Discord but have seen it or have touched a card because of the different events between the National Card Show and the SCG cons and the Kickstarter. There've got to be at least enough people that have been touched by the advertisements because the advertisements when they were out were going hard. If I was just to ballpark a number, that would be my guess. But I have no idea. I'm just basing that off of Kickstarter, off of Discord plus change.
So the Discord is 2,700 is where we're at.
So 3 to 5 is pretty much a safe guess.
That's what my daughter says. So pretty much 3,000, 5,000. That's what my daughter said. I'm like, "You're 12," and she's like, "Yeah, I'm basically 16."
So
I know.
Grace, go ahead.
So I've been running Learn to Plays every Sunday at my LGS, and I know there's 4 people in particular that are getting really deep into the game, and they still haven't stepped foot into the Discord. So I do think there's a big potential audience out there of people that are learning from people that are in the Discord that aren't necessarily joining the Discord themselves. So I would agree. I think there's probably 1,000 or 2,000 other random people across the world.
I think you all are underestimating it, and it's interesting because Frenchie, for folks who don't know, is that Jeff French, the founder of Wonders of the First, is that his background's in marketing, and what we're not seeing is we're already captured. And so what is he doing with the target and where you can find the product is we don't know what group he's targeting. Folks have all said, it's not my target. I can't find it. They're just assuming their target didn't get it instead of it came and it left before they ever could see it because they weren't checking every single day. In Boba, we found, again, not to go with the sister project, but there was a recent raffle for this thing called the Blast Box. And everybody said, I don't know anybody who won it. Did anybody really win it in our community? And Jeff said, people don't really understand that the amount of growth we've had outside of Discord. And so hearing you speak, Grace, is that I just wonder, you're really you're just basically saying that the amount outside of us is equal to 50 to 100% of what's inside the Discord. And yes.
To be fair, I'm not thinking of like people who might own one card or were handed something for free. I'm thinking like people who are actively playing and participating on some level in a community, which may have been a misinterpretation of the question. But like, I think I agree with you that there are going to be more people that have cards, if that makes sense.
Well, and I shouldn't say one card. I mean, they might be collecting it. They might be like saying, yeah, I bought this 2-player bundle in Target. So I include those that demographic in it as well, whether a collector player or a player who's bought it and said, I'm going to learn the game later. But I think it's multiples of what's in the Discord. So I think it's going to be at least 4. So if it's 2,700 in the Discord, the floor to me has got to be 10,000. And so I would say it's 10,000 and up is what we're seeing. I will say that I would expect it also to have that type of audience for the Wonders team to put the amount of money it must have taken to sign Tom Felton, to sign Ben Affleck. Is if we were 3,000 to 5,000, would they have risked that on saying we're going to grow it by spending the money? Or did they already see like, hey, we've gotten traction and we're at 10,000. We're going to take it to the next level. But it'd be interesting to see in the 2,700 that where people come down on, we got to figure out the right way to phrase that poll. I'm curious to see what moves the needle for most folks. Is that, and like, let's be brutally honest among the three of you, Tom Felton, Ben Affleck, Tom Felton, thumbs up or thumbs down from you guys? You guys are, you like him in the set?
Well, when you say Tom Felton, Ben Affleck, yeah, awesome, Ben. Thank you, iOS.
I want
when you say Tom,
fireworks.
like, are you saying like, do we like Tom Felton more, or just we're
No,
cool
just
with
you
him?
like
I did
him.
that.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, are you guys going to be brutally honest and say whether you're like Ben Affleck, you're glad he's in the set? Thumbs up.
Oh yeah, Ben Affleck's the one I'm most excited for.
All right, 3 neutrals, 3 out of 4 neutrals, and Arnie Vosloo.
Yeah, I'm excited for all these guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's just interesting to see about how you guys feel about it. Obviously, you guys, it's like so great to get you guys on Creators of the First. Appreciate all your time coming back here. We've gone. I'm glad that nobody has said, "Hey, I got to go," which is Ben's got to get back to his family. Carolina girls.
I actually do unfortunately have to go.
Carolina girls got to get back to her studies at American.
Hey,
Tech.
listen, when you go to Baltimore, you got to get used to it because you're always going to have to go.
Man, I've got an hour or two to schoolwork to do. I am prepared for sleeplessness at whatever event I can make it to.
All right. Well, so Ben, why don't you head us out with your final words?
Well, the only thing finally I have to say is I was really hoping the Capricorn was gonna go against what Texan said and say, "Oh, I wasn't tired at all. I loved it. It was a blast the whole time. No exhaustion." I wanted to see if it was just Texan, but apparently it's across the board. So I guess I got to pack my sandwich and some water, and hopefully
it's tired, but it's a good tired.
It's a good tired. Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
It's
a watch my packing list because I used everything in that bag. So
oh yeah, real quick
before, packing list.
Before we go, American Texan, it's going to be hard for Capricorn because I think he's done so many of these. I can't imagine. But American Texan, if you could have done one thing differently, I mean, other than brought food, what's the one thing you would have done differently?
Man, that's a tough question.
When?
Well, as far as traveling, I mean, there's a lot of things I would have done differently, like put more Wonders in my sealed deck. That really cost me in sealed. Man, it's hard to tell. You know, it goes against my values because if we're playing in Houston, I think I said it in today's video. You know, if we're playing in Houston, I'm gonna sleep in my bed. I'm gonna come home and be here for my family. But like I said, like if I could have stayed downtown in a hotel room, I could have easily gotten an extra 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night, and that could have made the difference. I think. Okay, so that's what it is actually. So for Ben too, especially, I wish I had more practice. I was practicing so much, again, with all these guys that I mentioned earlier, and I wish I had practiced more and practiced a little bit more seriously because I was still focused on how do I make this deck work? What optimizations do I need? Which you do need to do, but then also I needed to practice against other meta decks. In fact, Thursday night beforehand, I played True Story No Lie with my 1250 deck. We had honed it in, and now I needed to really practice, and he was just running me through all the meta decks. And there's one that absolutely destroyed me, but it was like midnight. the Capricorn watched it too, right? It was that Omnis Quantum deck or something. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, it's past midnight. I got to go to bed because we have the conference. And that is the exact deck that Sneaky played against me and just absolutely wiped the floor with me with that same deck. So just having more practice against the different metas, the different play styles, different things you're going to see, because I think I could have held my own. Similar to the deck that Sneaky played in the 1,000 point that he beat me with in the top 4, I was able to put up a fight because we practiced very hard against like a land heavy elf deck with lots of token control or counter control and all that. You know, we had done a lot of practice with that, so I kind of knew how to at least stand up against it. So
well, unfortunately,
practice and preparation is something I wish I had done even more of.
Practice time is over. It's game time.
Yeah.
Cap, is there anything you would change? I mean, you've been to so many, but is there anything you would change?
I would make sure that I kill Sneaky's tapped Razia before using Blazing Phoenix Pub. Do not harvest the Blazing Phoenix Pub when he has a tapped Razia.
You did that? You
probably how I lost. That's probably how I lost, to be honest.
No, that's a disaster.
Make him feel better, Ben.
You learn something new every time. You know, I overlooked the fact
That's the smartest man alive right there.
There is always something I overlook. I play so smart 99.9% of the time, and then there's always something that I overlook.
I bet he was smiling inside so big. Thank you.
The problem is it's never come up in practicing before. I've never been in a situation where my opponent has had a legendary tapped wonder that they could capitalize on me using my Blazing Phoenix Pub. So it's just never experienced it. My head was in so many, like 17 other different things going on, trying to track. Like, there's so much going on at the top level of play. Just completely spaced it and then regretted every moment of my existence from that point on.
And spectate as much as you can, because these top players, they know things that you don't. Another thing I learned from watching Sneaky play Seal, I didn't play against him, but I watched him play, is Salira, the red lady, the Sulfera lady. Can't remember her full name.
Love her.
Oh, yeah.
She is not a May. She has to kill something with more with equal or less power to the stones, which means if that's your card gets destroyed. I didn't know that. And like, that's a huge thing. So
same
like,
thing,
go spectate.
same
you
thing
will learn a lot.
With Lumina Scarab, you have to target a land with that to get a null counter. So if theirs can't be targeted because of Eye of Petria or Azure Vault, you have to target your own land. And granted, you could stack up the null counters on the same land, but you still have to null at least one of your lands, and that still feels really bad.
Yeah. And shout out to SciTech. He's in the chat. I played him. He beat me in the Swiss rounds of the main event. And then we went face to face in the top 8, and he put up a heck of a fight. I took what I learned in the first round, and my first loss with him, brought it to the second, and I was able to pull out the win. So pretty glad he's here. And Robinero Pepper, I met him. He's a cool dude too. He beat me in sealed, and he's actually got it on video. We'll see it someday, so you get to see me humble.
Oh, that'd be great
in person.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Grace, any final words from you?
No, I got nothing left in the brain can this evening.
All right. Well, this was a great Creators of the First. It was awesome to really get into some play that we don't normally do. Thank you so much. I want to thank Ben B, Hero Gaming. You've got Grace over at Wonders Workshop, known in the Discord as Carolina Girl, American Texan over at American Texas Plays, and then Capricorn, Quarantine Capricorn. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Slappy White.